my protection.
Protection from what?
Koryuki.
We're gonna be in the new world in no time. This is exhilarating. Get excited.
Yeah, I hear the talk of, like, ultimate things. You know, Gurren Lagann being one of those things that can literally throw universes at you. And then, of course, Kyle Rayner, the White Lantern, arguably the most powerful of, like, all the lanterns out there. I mean, the man literally just was able to, like, craft, I believe he crafted a whole new existence, and then he basically trapped his enemy in the old one and destroyed it.
You know who I wish I could have got here to react to this one with you instead of me?
Who's that?
Andrew.
Why is that?
Because maybe he didn't watch it with me, maybe I watched it by myself. I think, maybe I'm wrong. Like, but I was thinking maybe that I watched Gurren Lagann with him. And also, Andrew is a gigantic Green Lantern fan and knows all of the Lantern lore. Whereas I know basically the bare minimum about the Green Lantern. And I know that there are other color lanterns, and that's about it.
Well, yeah, there's green, yellow, red, blue, white, black, and what was the other one? No, there was another one. They'll probably explain all the colors in here and what their emotions are tied to. But Death Battle just released. Simon the Digger versus
Simone.
Oh yeah, Simone. Sorry, Simone the Digger versus Kyle Rayner. And Simone is one of, like, the most unsuspecting anime protagonists ever. And of course, you know,
especially because of, like, the bait and switch they do in the beginning of the show.
Dear Lord,
pissed me off.
I know it did. Pissed off a lot of people. But Simon and Kyle Rayner, you know, Gurren Lagann versus the White Lantern. So I don't know about y'all, but
also I've literally heard people talk about Gurren Lagann before I watched it, and I just heard you say some stuff like that. I was like, after I watched it, I was like, man, like, I don't know if I wasn't paying full attention to the ending of it or what, or if they just didn't do as good of a job of portraying what everybody's talking about as, like, I thought they could have or something. But, like, yeah, I don't know. It's apparently goes on, like, some absurd level of, like, ridiculousness at the end that I'm just like, I don't think that was really properly portrayed in the anime.
Yes and no, because in terms of scaling, the ridiculousness just goes off the charts at the end. But I will say that
it kind of rushes so quickly to that part that I kind of, I guess, was like whiplashed by it. It was just kind of like, okay, I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't like the time skipping it either. That kind of irked me.
Well, yeah, that was annoying, but also, you know, we can't talk about it on here without talking about the death of, like, Kamina, which, you know,
that's what I was talking about with the bait and switch.
Yeah, I don't think
Simone literally starts off his arc as a sidekick to someone else, and then they kill someone else, and he becomes the main character instead. So,
and that made a lot of people mad, including Nick.
I was just like, you just killed, like, the coolest character I've ever seen. Like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yep. And now here we sit, like, almost 20 plus years later, or over 20 plus years later after the original release, and I'm just like, wow. I'm still amazed that people still talk about Gurren Lagann. I mean, it's a great show. Mm-hmm. I mean, I enjoyed it. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there who enjoy it for other reasons. Settle down. Sheesh.
You have to wait till after the time skip to enjoy it legally that way, unless you're already underage, I guess.
Actually, technically, where her, like, being underground, they counted years differently, and apparently, physically, she's actually 19. like in the beginning of the show.
That makes more sense for the way she's drawn.
I know, but still, it is pretty cheesecakey. Also, Kamina literally never wears a shirt or always has his like abs out, just like ha ha. If you got it, flaunt it. I guess I don't know. Anywho, we got the death battle queued up here. What do you say we check it out? This is Simone the Digger versus Kyle Rayner. Gurren Lagann versus White Lantern. Are you ready, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Simone the Digger,
Kyle Rayner, the White Lantern.
two men born of Earth with the willpower to pierce the heavens and conquer infinity.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Deep underground, Jiha Village lived in dreary isolation, oblivious to the wider world above their squalid cave.
That's where the hero of our story comes in. The young man who would lead his comrades into the sunlight at last. Kamina, the great and mighty. Oh, and his little brother from another mother, Simone. He was there too, I guess.
Simone was
Like
a
I said.
digger, content to drill endlessly through the dirt, until the day he found the core drill.
A key that activated the mysterious buried mech that Kamina named Lagann. Under his magnificently masculine leadership, Kamina finally drilled their way to freedom, seeing the sun after a life in the dark.
But the sky was by no means the limit. The surface was ruled by the cruel chimeric beastmen, and Kamina would lead his compatriots against them to reclaim the Earth for humanity, scoring a second mech in the process, aptly named Gurren.
And as befits Kamina and Simone's unbreakable brotherly bond, Gurren and Lagann merged, creating Gurren Lagann.
With Kamina piloting the body and Simone the head, these two were unstoppable.
Of all the giant fighting robots in all the animes across history, Gurren Lagann might just be the absolute coolest.
It's up there.
I don't know about that.
I have it in my top 10.
I would say concept-wise, yes. Design-wise, not so much.
Fair enough.
It
Yeah.
looks a little goofy.
I think that's the point. I mean, a little bit of goofiness ain't nothing wrong with it.
There's just a lot of Gundams that I see that I'm just like, that's like the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, Death
just
Scythe-
by looking at it.
I still remember the first time I saw Death Scythe Hell, you know, the second version of Death Scythe. I was just like, whoa, I like that. Especially the cape that can literally, like, cover him up and, like, make him invisible in space. Dude, I was like, yes, more of that, please.
Fueled by its pilot's willpower and capable of making any weapon they can imagine.
Including missiles, a jetpack, a sunglasses boomerang, and of course,
Drills! Wrist-mounted drills, kunai drills, shield drills, kamehameha drills, and everyone's favorite, the Giga Drill Bureku! Side note, it is so funny that the only thing they could think of was drills. That's like if I made booze or something, my whole personality. What up?
with Gurren Lagann's awesome power, Kamina laid waste to enemy forces, liberated human villages, and fomented a rebellion against the Beastmen King, Lord Genome.
Until Kamina died. Oh, wait, shit, was that supposed to happen?
Nope, and it was all Simone's fault. He let his willpower waver, and his soul brother paid the price. After all, he was just a humble digger, at home in the darkness, guided solely by the light of Kamina's spirit.
So his big bro left him with these final words. Have faith in the Simone who believes in you. Damn.
Kamina was the one looking up to him the whole time. It was Simone who found Lagann, Simone who pierced the surface, and Simone who would now lead humanity to victory.
Especially with his gal pal Nia at his side, who helped pull him out of his rut and kick Lord Genome's ass. But victory only lasted 7 years before the anti-spiral attacked.
Unimaginably powerful godlike aliens, the anti-spiral feared humanity's potential, what they dubbed the Spiral Nemesis.
Remember how Gurren Lagann runs on fighting spirit? Turns out that's just a manifestation of spiral power, an energy that all spiral beings, like humans, have. That's right, the laws of physics run on chutzpah.
It's weird how the spiral in this show leads to, like, infinite power, whereas the spiral in Uzumaki literally leads to, like, agonizing death.
Mm-hmm. It's two different sides of the same coin.
Yeah, basically.
Just as the spiral turned inward represents endless obsession and madness, the spiral
there you go.
turned outward spins forever into infinity, the perfect representation of humanity's evolutionary potential.
Potential Simon would use as he led Team Gurren across the multiverse to take the fight to the anti-spiral. And this is when Gurren Lagann gets crazy.
Channeling spiral power lets you constantly adapt to threats, no matter how overwhelming. Simon can create portals to different realities and higher dimensions. He can generate force fields, absorb energy attacks, and even merge Gurren Lagann with bigger and stronger machines.
Creating the Arc Gurren Lagann, which is strong enough to shatter space and time.
Super Tingen Topa Gurren Lagann!
With a punch.
Or the Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann, which can fire lasers that are fast enough to hit, and I quote, all time, space, and dimensions, all within a Planck instant.
That's the smallest unit of time physically possible.
Meaning each laser would have to be moving,
Yeah, give us the number there, Wiz. Give us the number.
4.6 times 10 to the 117th power times faster than light.
So like, yeah, basically the problem with Gurren Lagann towards the end is they start throwing out a lot of stuff that's just incomprehensible to the human mind.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, my memory of it is like, it didn't really get that crazy. And it's actually like, no, actually it got as crazy as it could possibly get. It's just, you can't portray that on a screen, so
No.
I don't have the memory of it, you know?
This, I wasn't aware it'd be this. Christ.
This might be the only anime character ever capable of beating a comic book character. Just
Which is
because,
why...
like, they literally took it to, like, the absolute maximum.
Which is why they're matching up against Kyle Rayner, a.k.a. probably the most powerful character in Marvel history. So...
Wait. I thought Green Lantern was DC.
Or, sorry, DC history. I meant to say comic history, but I said Marvel.
I was, like, confused
What
there
is
for a
wrong with
second.
me? What is wrong with me?
Looks like this wins the award for fastest calculated speed feat in our show's history. Congratulations, Gurren Lagann.
Move over, SpongeBob. You've been dethroned. Oh, and the guidebook says they hit an innumerable number of enemies across infinite universes. You literally cannot calculate how fast that is.
But it wasn't enough to escape the anti-spiral's greatest trap. The Multiverse Labyrinth, an attack that imprisons Simon in his own unique multiverse, forced to experience an infinite number of alternate realities that controlled his mind, permanently arresting him in a dream world.
Except Simon and his spiral power are just built different, and after being inspired by his bro, Simon absorbed that whole multiverse to escape.
What makes this even more impressive is that this labyrinth was 11-dimensional, meaning Simon absorbed a higher dimensional structure several orders of infinity greater than himself. The jump between dimensions is basically infinite. Each new dimension adds a new direction of space that extends infinitely, thus an infinite gap in size and scope.
Yeah, I knew fourth dimensional space was always something that just like that blew me. And then of course they say fifth dimensional is just
That's still another one of those things that breaks my brain.
well, because we live in a 3D world. I mean, that's just how it goes.
What? Oh, we're just getting started. Imagine a two-dimensional drawing interacting with a three-dimensional person.
Okay, that's not too far off from what actually happened.
Because when Simon absorbed the multiverse labyrinth, he merged with every alternate universe version of himself, including an alternate universe Simon who is writing his own alternate universe version of Gurren Lagann. And that author's spiral power made his fictional Simon real, adding another to the mix.
Wait, if every human being has spiral power, you're telling me we can all do this shit?
This all gave our Simone enough spiral power to form the next step in mecha evolution, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
This is when Gurren Lagann gets actually
Which is actually the
fucking
complete name of the show.
Yeah.
crazy. Like shooting missiles that alter probability so they have 100% chance of hitting you, or tossing galaxies around like frisbees.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say galaxies? I meant universes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't remember seeing all this kind of stuff in the show.
I remember. Yeah, I remember it. Good Lord, this was absolute insanity.
started generating super spiral space, a higher dimension encompassing our own universe.
With it, Simon turns his thoughts into reality, letting him create his mech and all of its weapons in the first place.
Not only does this mean he no longer needs co-pilots, he can also regenerate any damage done to him or his mech just by willing it back into existence.
Like when Lord Genome used spiral power to survive quantum breakdown, or the time Nia, now the best wife in the universe, used spiral power to constantly regenerate her body from being erased at the informational level for 7 days straight.
Information in physics is essentially the ones and zeros that make up every possible outcome in
Binary.
reality. Nia literally regenerated from the statistical certainty of her own destruction.
If I have spiral power, whiz, when the fuck is my leg growing back?
When even this was not enough for the anti-spiral, Simon evolved one more time.
Into Super Tangentopa Gurren Lagann!
This mech is so big, its size is literally incalculable. And with a drill somehow even larger than that, Simon and his friends shattered the anti-spiral once and for all.
Hey, cruel indifference of the universe! Meet the indomitable human spirit!
Proving Kamina's words prophetic, that Simon's drill is the drill that would pierce the heavens.
With no more worlds left to conquer, Simon chose to wander the earth for the rest of his days, in service to others.
Always looking up. For all the lights in the sky are stars, and every star another world of spiral cousins that can live free.
All thanks to a humble digger.
Also sad what happened with Nia. I mean, yeah, that broke my heart.
I don't even remember now.
Basically, where he defeated the anti-spiral, all of the multiverses separated, and she was only able to like maintain herself in like the human world, or in like the regular world, before fading away and going back to her own basically like her own existence.
Yeah, I didn't remember that part.
And she faded away, and right after they got married. And it broke my heart, dude, because Simon originally had feelings for Yoko, but then Yoko laid the kiss of death on Kamina, which we all know how that wound out. And then, yeah, basically it's just like he realized, yeah, maybe Yoko's not the one for me, because if she kisses me, I don't want to fucking die. and then eventually it's a crazy ass show.
Cause I could have sworn like him and Yoko were like together after the time skip or something.
No,
I'm just misremembering everything.
No, they never got together from what I understand. I mean, he had feelings for her, but he never was able to like act them out, because he always like something always happened that got in his way. But then the very day he actually got up the nut to like go up to like talk to her, he basically just like was standing there in the shadows, and then her and Kamina had their moment, and then they kissed, and then he basically just like left heartbroken.
I don't remember that.
Sounds like you need to rewatch the show.
I don't know. It's like I'm gonna end up finding out there's a whole like second season I never knew about or some shit. It's pretty sure it was only one season long, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, I think it was only 26 episodes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. But
Oh, well.
clearly I only remember bits of it.
Alright. Anyway, back to it.
The universe is a dangerous place. Should you find yourself face to face with an interdimensional vampire, alien dictators, or this one really pissed off cat, you know who to call.
The Green Lantern Corps! They're the Space Fuzz, an intergalactic police force founded billions of years ago by blue leprechaun gods.
And the greatest Green Lantern among them was everyone's favorite, Hal Jordan.
You know him, you love him, you might hate him, but you
Oh,
gotta
that's
respect
right.
the man with
Ben
a will
10-1.
as unbreakable as Hal's.
Until the day his will broke.
After his hometown got completely obliterated, Hal lost his mind. he rampaged through the core, killing everyone in his path, and absorbed the central power battery, the literal Green Lantern.
Becoming the Emerald Tyrant, Parallax.
There was only one survivor of Parallax's killing spree, Ganthet. And with what remained of his strength, he gave the last Green Lantern ring in the universe to a human, Kyle Rayner.
So, was Kyle picked for his indomitable willpower like Hal was?
He was just there. He had no idea what was going on. Must feel good being given the most dangerous magical weapon in existence to figure out on your own. Hey, if Colonel Sanders, Daffy Duck, Space Wheat, and a sentient fox can master it, what's your excuse, Kyle?
The Green Lantern ring can do anything, fulfilling any wish its user desires as though it were a genie from a lamp.
It lets you fire energy blasts, create force fields, affect gravity, turn invisible and intangible, manipulate matter, time travel, warp reality, and erase things from existence.
Think we're exaggerating? Well, consider the time Kyle stretched the very fabric of space to increase the Planck length a billion times over. That's like stretching an inch into a light year.
Lanterns control time and space, letting them fly so fast they can create a Speed Force singularity.
Tapping into the Speed Force requires entering a higher dimension of space, requiring speeds that are not only faster than light, but totally immeasurable. And the rings have an artificial intelligence that operates just as fast, automatically protecting its user from danger.
Like the time that Poozer Kilowog survived being erased from existence by the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
The ring is fueled by its user's willpower and limited only by their imagination.
While Hal may have had the greatest willpower in the Corps, Kyle's imagination is unmatched, probably because he's a comic book artist. And we know from this show, they think of some wild shit.
But the Green Lantern's most recognizable ability is their constructs, Kyle's speciality.
Samurai armor, pirate ships, giant dragons, actual working home computers, and his favorite, super fighting robots. Hey, that one looks familiar.
Kyle can make them strong enough to lift the Spectre, who weighs as much as eternity.
Or hold back a 12.3 dimensional Big Bang. Wait, 0.3? DC's multiverse has 12.3 dimensions? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
The ring's only downside is that it's limited to 24 hours before needing a recharge.
He's still gonna beat Simone.
So
even
it
though
can
Simone's the only
blow
one
up
that can come close to
universes, but
being
it has
comic
the
character.
battery of an
Yeah.
iPhone. Never mind, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
They only went to like the 11th dimension in Gurren Lagann, but there's like 12.3 dimensions.
Oh my gosh.
DC universe apparently.
Although I'd say Kyle's biggest weakness was Kyle. With great power came no responsibility.
Perhaps a manifestation of Kyle's self-doubt. Any reflection came too late, though, when one of Kyle's villains brutally murdered his girlfriend, Alex, and put her body in a fridge.
Kyle wasn't the only
sounds
one
like a bad
traumatized.
move.
This moment was so infamous, it started the trope called fridging.
For how female characters are often sacrificed as mere plot devices to further a male character's development.
So it might surprise you that it happened to Kyle again.
Kyle finally got serious. He became a prominent member of the Justice League, faced off against Hal, and even rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps better than ever.
But little did he know, this torchbearer's greatest journey had only just begun.
In order to save Ganthet from an emotional lobotomy, it's a long story, he had to master all the colors of the emotional electromagnetic spectrum.
There are 7 colors, each representing a different emotion. The yellow light of fear lets Kyle manipulate the worst horrors in your mind. The more scared you are of him, the stronger he becomes.
Orange light is fueled by bottomless avarice, possessing Kyle to absorb not merely his enemies' attacks, but also their souls.
Red is rage, ripping out Kyle's heart and replacing his blood with napalm, which sounds like it sucks, but it's metal as hell.
Blue light is powered by hope and allows Kyle to heal wounds, resist mental domination, and supercharge his ring.
Indigo is compassion, reducing his opponent's will to fight and letting him open portals across space, connecting him to others.
The final one was the sapphire light of love. With it, he can trap enemies within crystal matrices and control their minds. But Kyle only mastered it by forgiving himself for Alex's tragic death.
Oh, Oh, self-love. I get it. Must be nice.
Vigorous
and with their
self-love.
powers combined, he doesn't just make his enemies taste the rainbow.
The lights of the spectrum merged and Kyle became a White Lantern with total control over the power of life.
Wiz, I cannot think of an attack more useless in a death battle than something that makes you live.
Empowered by the physical embodiment of all life in the DC multiverse, Kyle is vastly more powerful than any other Lantern in existence.
Far stronger than Hal, who could harness the energy of every power battery across the multiverse.
Not only can Kyle instantly heal all wounds, purify corruption, and resurrect the dead, the white light of life is strong enough to go up against threats to all of creation, like the Anti-Monitor.
Okay, so it's not totally useless.
Especially after Kyle visited the Source and acquired the life equation. Essentially the source code to reality, the life equation is mathematical proof that life is worth living.
With it, Kyle can alter all of reality at a whim, even threatening the new gods like Darkseid.
The life equation, like its counterpart, the anti-life equation, is a conceptual artifact from a higher reality, originating in a platonic realm that is, in a sense, more real than we are.
So it's not a shock that the equation made Kyle too powerful.
He struggled to control it, and it subconsciously manifested a being composed of his fears and anxieties. Oblivion. Kyle's greatest weakness was still himself.
Kyle spent his whole life struggling with the power that the gods granted him, and throughout it all, he always rose to the occasion, carrying the universe on his back.
But ultimately, the only way to stop power from corrupting is to spread it. So Kyle split the life equation into pieces to found his second core, the White Lanterns. And together, they shattered Oblivion, destroying the self-doubt that plagued Kyle once and for all.
Not bad for a comic book geek from LA.
And now he was the one giving out rings of unlimited power to people who weren't sure if they could command it.
So he told them the truth. You can't teach someone how to use such power. You have to learn yourself, making mistakes along the way.
But with the power of life at their command, there's no end to their journey, only endless beginnings.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean,
Hey, remember Beerus versus Sailor Galaxia? No? Well, that's because it was taken off YouTube for being too anime.
huh?
But we've got a solution. It's our own website. That's www.deathbattle.gg. It's like our own private Patreon, with a store for Death Battle merch and a complete Death Battle video archive. It's got episodes that YouTube has banned, blocked, and censored, and there's even more goodies on the way. So check out deathbattle.gg live right now.
That's good.
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
All right, who you pulling for? I think I know who, but
Just because it's usually what happens, I'm just going to go with White Lantern. And I'll be pleasantly surprised if Simone actually beats.
I will say Simone. At least that's how I see it. But I don't know. I'm interested, but also I'm nervous because I'm like, I've been wrong before. I've been wrong plenty of times.
This seems like the kind of death battle, though, that if, like, I was on their team and they came to me and they're like, yeah, we have to calculate this up and make it, like, a decision that the fan base will be okay with and stuff, I would be like, this is beyond my pay grade.
Yeah.
And my education. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I have to quit. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, bye. But I'm pulling for Simone. You're pulling for Kyle Rayner.
Not really pulling. I'm just saying that's what I think.
You think he's
going to
happen. Okay. Well, good to know. But anywho, I guess y'all are ready. You want to go ahead and jump into the death battle? Let's go.
All right, I'm not rusty at all.
Hey dude, Green Lantern Officer Kyle Rayner here. Ring says you've got a Class A galactic super weapon, whatever that is. I'm thinking it's the giant mech. Why don't you hand it over?
Gurren Lagann's mine, officer. Just who the hell do you think you are? I'm told I'm bad with authority.
Tell me about it. 4.
20?
That's nothing! My drill will pierce the heavens!
Uh-oh.
Take it to Gurren Lagann! That's really cool. I'm a lantern.
We do the impossible.
See the invisible.
Touch the untouchable.
Break the unbreakable.
If you ain't know,
Now you know. I'm Simone the Digger. If there's a wall in my way, I'll smash it down!
stop fighting. Think about your fear of death, your love of your friends, your compassion for me, your hope for the future. Choose life. Have faith in the Simone that believes in you.
Believe in me and believe in you.
Super Tekken Topa Gurren Lagann! My drill is the drill that will transcend the heavens! Giga Drill Break!
The super weapon wasn't your mech.
It was me.
Then, Simone, I'm taking you in brightest day, in blackest night. No evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern fly!
It's not evil,
Ooh! Damn!
Holy shit.
You'd make a good lantern.
Simone of Earth, you have been chosen.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
Well, hell yeah.
Holy shit, Simone won.
An anime character finally beats a comic character.
Woohoo!
Like I said, that was the only chance I thought I'd probably ever have after
Yeah.
everything I've seen from Death Battle now.
And you just hear, success!
So even though I picked the wrong one, like, I'm kind of like, hell yeah. I'm sort of stoked anyway.
Oh, me too.
For the guy with the snazzy sunglasses.
When both combatants possess unlimited power, it's hard to judge them by our normal standards. Take speed. Simone can hit an infinite number of targets all at once, and Kyle can fly fast enough to surpass the normal concept of speed itself.
When you control space and time, things like strength and speed kind of become irrelevant.
Instead, let's analyze them through a lens more applicable to beings as absurd as Simone and Kyle. Their imagination, their willpower, and their ultimate potential.
First up, imagination. The boundless things they could conjure to use against the other. Both could think up just about anything the other could, like absorbing each other's attacks, fighting across time, anything.
Simone did have a few attacks that Kyle hasn't encountered, like the probability-altering missiles, but it's likely Kyle could adapt considering his ring could protect against existence being erased across the multiverse.
And in general, Kyle's constructs were a lot more creative than Simone's arsenal, which was mostly drills. Though So again, nothing Simone couldn't adapt to with, say, his energy absorption. Imagination is a draw.
That leaves the other main factor for both characters, the origin of their unbelievable might, their willpower.
And that's really gonna be the winning factor here, since it's the source of everything for both of them. Whoever's got the stronger willpower wins.
Both can manipulate reality on a multiversal scale with their willpower, but we can use dimensions to roughly calculate a difference. This might sound absurd for most characters, but it's necessary for beings as beyond the pale as Simone and Kyle.
The multiverse labyrinth that Simone absorbed contained 11 spatial dimensions. That's 1.3 dimensions less than the multiverse Kyle's power can threaten.
And remember, each numbered dimension infinitely surpasses the one below it.
Which meant Kyle's willpower was stronger at a base level. However, that doesn't necessarily mean Kyle gets the edge, because if there's one thing both of these guys are known for, it's that they can always get stronger.
So to determine the limits of their willpower, we first need to understand their full potential.
Simone's whole deal with spiral power is how he can constantly evolve to get stronger. So just because Simone starts off weaker doesn't mean he'll stay that way.
Absorbing the
The
multiverse
idea of
labyrinth
Gurren
requires
Lagann in the first place is essentially unlimited potential, so...
Yeah.
Simone to leapfrog several orders of infinity in an instant. Simone made himself that much stronger through sheer force of will.
More than enough to close the gap with Kyle, especially since spiral power also lets him regenerate his body down to an informational level. Kyle's never destroyed something that thoroughly before.
Without the ability to easily kill Simone, it was only a matter of time before Kyle's ring ran low on charge. Especially since Simone could likely regenerate for at least a week straight, like Nia did. While Blue Lantern Light could boost Kyle's power, he's never jumped several orders of infinity in strength like Simone has.
And while Kyle could manipulate emotions to reduce Simone's willpower, Simone resisting the labyrinth's mental manipulation meant he could power through anything Kyle threw at him.
Everything, that is, except for the life equation. It originated from a higher level of reality and would have more than even the odds.
Too bad Kyle couldn't control it. It was just as much a detriment to him as an asset, forcing him to relinquish it to keep from destroying reality and himself.
Compare that to Simone, who merged with a version of himself writing a version of Gurren Lagann, and using spiral power to make that fiction into reality.
A pretty similar level of reality to the life equation, and a level of power Simone had no trouble embracing and mastering by the end of his story. No matter how you look at it, Simone might start weaker, but his peak will always transcend Kyle's. Isn't that how all of Simone's battles usually go anyway? That's Gurren Lagann in a nutshell.
So Simone's incredible potential eclipsed Kyle, which means his willpower was ultimately greater. Kyle may have embodied life itself, but Simone's unstoppable evolutionary potential would shatter even this lantern's light.
I hope Kyle at least dug the fight, because when it comes to death battle losers, he was a dead ringer.
The winner is Simone the Digger.
Next time on Death Battle.
Yes.
Oh, the Roadrunner.
Subscribe and join as a member.
My God.
I think, if I had to guess, I think Wile E. Coyote might win that one.
Probably.
Just because Tom's like taken a lot of damage, but he's never been absolutely maimed in quite the same way as Wile E. Coyote has.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote's been destroyed multiple times.
And he always comes back from it.
Always, yeah.
They both always come back from it, but you know, it just seems like Wile E. Coyote has been more violently decimated quite a few times than I remember Tom being.
Yeah, true. Oh, goodness. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I'm glad that an anime protag finally won one of these.
Yeah.
And it was against a comic book character.
Mm.
Arguably the most powerful comic book character ever of all time. I'm like, wow. That's awesome. But, yeah. Anywho, thank you all again for tuning in. Did your all's prediction come true? Feel free to let us know. But, yeah. Yes, that's going to do it. So until next time, everyone, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
Y'all be good people. Take care. Peace.